Welcome to the Automotive Diagnostic Podcast. We're going to explore ways to sharpen our diagnostic skills, find learning resources, and hear from experts in the automotive field. This episode is brought to you by L1 Automotive Training and Keith Perkins. If you're looking for education on module programming, J2534, EEPROM work, key and immobilizer, electrical diagnostics, or drivability diagnostics, Keith has a website, l1training.com, that's got over 60 hours of training videos on all those subjects and more. When I first started out doing mobile, I utilized Keith's videos on module programming in J2534 in order to get my head wrapped around what I would need for the tooling, the computers, the software setups, what kind of obstacles I would be up against when I'm out there programming modules on cars. And it was a huge benefit to me. And I continue to use the training videos that he has on his website. So I strongly recommend checking out l1training.com. The link is in the show notes. Hey, what's going on, automotive world? Welcome to another episode of the Automotive Diagnostic Podcast. My name is Sean Tipping. I'll be your host once again this week with Tommy Oliva. This week on the show, we've got Tommy's apprentice joining us, Miguel Cruz, otherwise known as Mikey, and we're going to talk to Mikey about his experience recently at Vision in Kansas City. This was his first time going. I got to attend all the classes. First time to a big industry event as well. We'll hear about the experience that they had there, their thoughts on Vision and the training, as well as his introduction into the automotive field and working with Tommy and where he sees his career going. We thought it'd be worthwhile to talk to an up-and-comer in the industry to see his perspective, both on the training events that we have and then also the state of the industry and where he sees himself going as things progress. It was a great talk. Great to meet Mikey. That out of the way, let's jump in. All right. We are recording. Good evening, gentlemen. What's going on?
What up?
Hi.
Why are you shy? You're blushing. Relax, man.
All right.
What's up, everybody?
It's easy. It's casual.
Yeah, man. It's just a conversation, man.
Yeah,
Yep.
Makes sense. Sorry about that.
Sorry, you're good. Good, man. Tired.
Yeah.
Shop's kicking me in the nuts. And you, Sean?
Yeah, cars have been doing that pretty good. Yeah, start square in the nuts.
Wow. Some days you're the nuts. Some days you're the foot. Some days you're the shoe.
Sometimes all in one day, you really get your ass kicked on something and then you go to the next one and just blast it out. And it's like, okay, all right, I can still figure something out. That's good.
Yeah. So, guys, today we have Miguel Cruz, a.k.a. Mikey. He is actually my apprentice. Or, yeah, you can say he's my apprentice. So I went to sell some stuff to PJ, and I went to meet him in Cleveland. And we had breakfast with Brian and Kalad and his family, PJ, and we were just chatting. And I told the guys, I'm like, listen, man, this kid's solid. I go, I think he's a good candidate for us to send somebody to Vision, man. I don't know. If you guys pay his admission, I'll take him. And they agreed, and I took him to Vision, and we overall for me it was a good experience. Not so much for me the event, the little nuances of the training side of the industry make it kind of difficult to enjoy these type of events, but I do enjoy seeing what is potentially going to be the future of the industry in terms of the youth, right? And Mikey, so I want to know a little bit more about you, man, or mainly for our viewers, because I've asked you these questions, man. But like, how old are you?
So I'm 19 years old. I'm a first generation student of two hardworking parents, and I am currently going to school. I am working to get my associates in the automotive, and that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Nice. How did you? What was your introduction to the automotive industry?
So my automotive interest really sparked at an early age. My dad is a mechanic. Well, he was a mechanic, now he's a business owner. But ever since I could remember, every Saturday, Sunday when I wouldn't have school, it would be me helping my dad out, just working on cars, watching him, maybe handing him the wrong tools, him getting a little mad at me, stuff like that. Him, him scolding me for getting the wrong tools. But you live and you learn. So he is currently a business owner. He's been a business owner for about 3, 4 years, I would say. And throughout this time, I really adapted to kind of having to fill in for him when he's been absent. So I really enjoyed the job of sort of being like a manager at some point, because he would leave the shop to me often. He would hand the reins over and stuff like that. So ever since I could remember, my life has always just been cars. First started off helping them move wheels around, move tools around, then started taking off the wheels and started getting into brakes, working a little bit on engines, transmissions, just basic stuff. So after a couple years, my dad, he was like, okay, this kid, he kind of likes cars. And, I did, and I do. So after a while, he thought it was time for me to expand my knowledge, kind of leave the nest. And that's when he reached out to Tommy. So my dad told me that Tommy was really hesitant, and that's something that I understand. Tommy's a really busy guy. He's really busy. If you were to see him, he gets calls all the time. He's always out there doing calls. He'll go from one side of the city to the other just doing calls. And I understand that. So I knew I had to bring my A game. So I just, sorry about that, guys.
Oh.
Sorry about that.
You're fired.
Hey, we just get that out, right? All right. So,
No, we're leaving it.
that's when my dad. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's when my dad told me. He was like, I really want you to, you know, get a step up in this field. And I was like, yeah, I totally agree. I plan to that this was a while after I graduated from high school, and I was like, yeah, I plan to pursue my career. And that's when Tommy had me go with him on Fridays because I have school Monday through Thursday. And me and Tommy just got to know each other. I got to work with him, work for him, just him being my mentor slash trainer. And I really liked it. I like that, obviously having to be hands on, you could also, have your hands in the computer, and you didn't have to be under the car the whole time. You could figure things out from being on top of the car, not being so hands on, which is also like, okay, so I got to be hands on. Now I'm getting kind of like the engineering part of it, sort of. And yeah, that's kind of to present day.
Yeah, knowing both sides of it is huge. If you're gonna even just do the programming stuff, knowing the actual car helps out a ton, and then vice versa too. If you understand what's going on the technology side of things, you can fix them a lot more efficiently. So, yeah, that's good. So, how your dad owns a repair shop? Is that correct?
Yes.
And then, so did you, Tommy? Do you know him from doing mobile stuff or?
So here's the funny thing, right? I met his dad at a shop. It's not too far from my shop, right? So his I actually never knew anybody that worked at the shop, right? Like it was literally like 5 minutes from my shop, and I never met anybody there. Well, I a shop across the street from him got my number to go do some programming, and I went there, and his employee, um, very cool guy. He gave me his number too, and he at one point was like, "Hey," he moved to that shop across the street. So when his dad is actually, not for nothing, not I don't blow smoke up nobody's ass, but not for nothing, he is actually the prototypical my prototypical demographic in terms of training. How I wrote my classes and how I'm going to continue to write my future Spanish classes is his dad. Very intelligent, just didn't really get the opportunity to have the education level, right? Because at the end of the day, like education, it doesn't mean you're stupid. It just means you don't have, like, I can't teach you basic electrical if you don't understand the principles of physics. So it is what it is, man. So he learned. He was pretty much self-taught from what I remember. Like he just
Okay.
kind of, in terms of diagnostics, he's a really good mechanic. Like he's a really good, like what would be considered like a parts changer mechanic. But he's also, for the type of experience that he has, he's very advanced in terms of diagnostics. He understands electrical. Some things are beyond comprehension, but I don't understand them either. You know, so and he was dealing with a Nissan Maxima. You know the piggy bank Maximas.
Sure.
So he calls me and I was out of town. He's like, "Hey, I need you to come look at a car. They told me that you can probably fix it. I fought it for a week or two. I don't know what's wrong with it." Well, what is it? Like, oh, it's a this and this Maxima. And I'm like, okay, what are your symptoms, man? Because honestly, I mean, I can try to help you over the phone, but I'm out of town right now. I'm gonna be back till next week. And he's like, well, it doesn't start, and I can't talk to it with a scanner. I tried testing this, I tried testing that. I don't see anything. I don't know what's going on. Blah blah blah. I was going through my Rolodex in my head, and I'm just like, oh, look, man. One of the biggest things that happens if you can't communicate to anything, do yourself a favor. It's a quick check. Take the radio out, take the AC amplifier out, and shake it. If there's coins in it, empty them out and plug it back in. See what happens. And he calls me. He's like, "Holy shit, man!" He's like, "I had no idea," and blah blah blah. And we just kind of like, he would call me for stuff, and I'd help him out, pick my brain, and then he moved from shop to shop. He's in a very interesting situation. So he ended up getting an opportunity to open his own shop, but his shop is actually closer to Indianapolis.
Okay.
So it's about 2.5 hour drive, right, Mikey?
Yeah.
So like, so he goes back and forth. They still live here. So the family
Okay.
still lives here, but he goes there. He lives in the shop and just drives back and forth on the weekend.
Okay.
Because of rent, man. Man, dude, that guy has a shop 3 times the size of mine, and he's paying like $1,500 a month.
Wow.
So it's I get it, man. Like you're not gonna find that in Chicago. There's just no way.
Yeah.
You can't even find parking spaces for $1,500 a month now. So so I get it. The interesting part about him is that he always told me about him that he's gonna be a mechanic, but that he doesn't know because he also had other interests. And I'm like, well, I mean, my dad didn't want me being a mechanic to begin with, so I really can't help you there, homie. But what I can say is he'll find his path, man. Just And one day he's like, all right, man. He's like, I need your advice. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this kid. I found him making out with another dude. I'm just kidding. He goes, I don't know. I don't know how to guide him. I have no idea. What do you recommend? What school did you like? Where did you go to? Should I send him there? Look, man, I can't speak to how they are now. 20 years ago, I mean, I made a decision that I thought was best for me, and I don't regret it. I love my school. I went to UTI, so I don't regret it. But in present day, like I have to face facts here. It's extremely expensive. I think it's close to $50,000 now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, thankfully, I know. Do you know Matt Shanahan?
I know of him.
All right, so he's an instructor at a college of DuPage here in Chicago, in the Chicagoland area. So
Okay.
I told him, listen, man, if I was you, if I was me now, I would go get my associates, and the reason being is because I could have been a field service engineer if I would have worked at Hyundai for a little bit longer. But I would have needed my associates, and basically that's when I went to Florida State, or I was in Florida at the time, and I forgot which college that was in the Orlando area, and they basically told me that my UTI credits were just junk. They
Really?
couldn't do anything with them. And I was told at UTI that they were valid, but what they didn't tell me is that they were only valid at one school that also doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, jeez.
so, so yeah, I was just like, that's my only regret. I really wish I would have went and got my associates. I just didn't want to because I had no interest in getting an associates. Again, I
Same
don't. I
here.
mean, yeah, like I don't regret anything. But I told him, and it's gonna be cheaper, and he'll get an education. He's like, yeah, but what does he need that for? I'm like, look, man. I go, here's the reality. Anything that you learn is yours. You can lose money, you can lose your business, you can lose anything, but you never lose your knowledge that you have. So if I were you, I would suggest that once he graduates high school, he starts taking his general record, his general study classes, his regular classes, and then go to college at DuPage and and do the automotive course. I know the instructor there. I think it's a great program, and it's going to be a lot cheaper, and he's going to walk out with something. And that's pretty much what he did.
Nice. Yeah, when I had the opportunity to get my associates after I was done with my 2-year program, I said, no, I'm good because the shops weren't going to pay me anymore to have it. And like, it didn't change my standing as a technician entering the field. So
No.
I just said, nope, I'm good. I'll do the 2-year degree. And that was it. So I moved on, but, sounds like you're on the way to getting that, done.
Definitely. So as how the associates goes, the reason why, I agreed with Tommy on getting my associates was because I would talk to my counselors and some of my advisors, and they also told me that even after I got my associates in automotive, even if I didn't choose that, I could still use those credits.
Sure.
So, but the way that I plan to use them is maybe, time will tell, but if if I end up getting my associates, I would really like to go to SIU and pursue my bachelor's in automotive. If not, I could also get a bachelor's in business, to try to learn how to
Mm-hmm.
manage a business because I do have a dream of being a business owner one day.
Yeah. Um, I always thought it was interesting that at least when I was that age, there was nothing really any further that I could pursue education wise directly to automotive,
Mm.
right? So like there was no, for me, there was no bachelor's, master's, PhD, right? Like a lot of other things you could just keep on going if you want to get to like, the peak of education or, name another career, but automotive, it's like, you get your 2-year degree and get out there, start working. Is there stuff out there now that you mentioned like the bachelor's in automotive? Can you pursue like a higher level of stuff within the automotive world?
As of my knowledge, I'm pretty sure it's a bachelor's. I haven't seen any like master's
Okay.
certificates for it, but yeah, I've seen a couple bachelor's programs in applied sciences to automotive, and
Oh, okay.
I'm just really going from school to school, just checking them out online, and hopefully visiting them soon, seeing their program. But yeah, that's something that I definitely have in mind.
Okay. But you're helping Tommy out at the shops here
Yeah,
or
so
once a week or
yeah, Fridays, when I'm not in school, I'll go over to the shop, especially since his shop is almost an hour away from where I live.
okay.
So it's just kind of hard to get there throughout the weekdays, but yeah.
Yeah. So when the time came and he graduated high school, his dad came up to me. He's like, "Listen, man, I think you can help my kid." I go, "I want him to come work for you," and I'm like, "Nope." And he's like, "But," I'm like, "Nope." I'm like, "Nope, nope, nope." I'm like, "Dude, listen, man." I go, "No offense, man, but I apprenticed 2 kids, both nephews." And it turned, I don't want to say being said that it's a waste of time, it's a little harsh, but that's how I felt. Dude, I literally like because my thing is like, he's like, dude, you don't even have to pay him and blah blah blah. I'm like, I just don't feel right. I'm not gonna tell somebody what to do or how to do something if there's no monetary backing, right? Yeah, I know there's you're gaining something from me, right? Obviously, but it's still not fair. I'm like, I can't. I told him, dude, I'm running around. I can't afford it. I'd have to change my schedule for him
Mm-hmm.
because he can, and because he told me like he can go on Fridays or whatever. And I'm like, dude, I don't. And then for what? So it could be the same shit all over again. I'm like, nah, man. I'm like, I'm not. And I told him like, I'm just not interested. He's like, man, just give him a try. He's a good kid. He can do this. He can do that. And I'm like, man, damn it, man. I'm like, I really don't want to. I'm like, all right, man. I said, all right, you convinced me. I'm gonna give him a shot. I go, but I'm telling you this right now, dude. Uh, I can't afford to pay him shit. I go, so bring him, and depending on what we can do, then we can figure something out. Because I had pretty much, it was like the summer last year ish, and I had opened the shop that year. So I'm like, I'm still building up clientele. There really isn't much to do. And he's like, I don't care, dude. He's like, just take him in, just guide him, man. I can't do what you do, so just do that. And if you don't like him, then you don't. And it's funny how life happens like that, man. Because I give him a shot, man. And the reality is, he's a great kid. Like you don't the work ethic that he has reminds me of me at the age. Because let me see, 19. So I went straight from high school straight into the trade. I would have actually started that very same week if it wasn't for the class slots hadn't started. So I had to wait about a month. If not, I would have jumped right into UTI because I just wanted to get it over with.
Yep.
And man, I had to work at the shop with my dad, so I would literally wake up early, get to UTI, start my day, fly back to the city, and then work. And then I'm gonna I'm gonna snitch on my buddy, but I had a buddy of mine that worked at a tire store, and he I bought a key to the gate where they had the tires that were being scrapped, and so he would mark them for me, all the good ones. So I would just come in every weekend and go pick them up, and then so on Sunday I work 7 days a week. So then on Sunday mornings or evenings, I'd go back out to the area by UTI and go to his store and then rate his tires and then just load up my truck and then go back and then I check them and then sell them to my old man. Dude, I was broke, man.
Yep. No, I scrapped. I collected rotors and stuff from the shops that I worked at and went and brought them down the recycling thing. And you make like $100 a month, but at that age, like that's a lot of money.
When you're poor, dude, $100 is $100, man.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, because I would sell them. To my dad for $3, but dude, it was an hour drive to get there. Say 30, 40 minutes of sorting them, picking up, loading them up, securing them, and then another hour drive back. So then if it was in the morning, then I'd have to get up early to go do that, get to the shop because we open at 10 on Sundays, work till 3, and then stay late so I can check them.
Yep.
Another 2-3 hours.
Stripping radiators down because they paid more if you get all the plastic stuff off of there. And yeah, oh my gosh.
Hey, dude. And he hustles, man. He he came in, he started cleaning, and my thing is always this: it's like if you want to be busy, there's always something to do. Like I don't feel like I have to be telling you. Yeah, man. I called him up. I'm like, dude, you did a great not even like as a person, as a man to man, dude. You raised a great kid, man. He has work ethic. He's gonna go places, man, and I'm gonna keep him on for a bit. And that's how it came.
So it's been about a year or so?
It's going to be a year this summer, I want to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was like early August, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I want to say, around that time. But no, it's and again, man, like the hunger he has for improvement is again, he just reminded me a lot about me around that same time. Except I didn't have nobody, man. I was on my own. I was literally on my own because my whole perception of being a technician changed when I was in technical school. Because before that, I just thought they were all just hacks. I mean, alley mechanics or just entry level mechanics or whatever, and then the dealers where all the good ones worked. Until I worked at one, I'm just like, yeah, no, that is incorrect. So that's and again, vision. I had no plans, intents, or purposes to go at all this year. I'm just too busy. But sometimes you have to sow the seeds, not even just for me, man, just for the industry's sake. Because even though I talk a lot of shit about it, I love it, man. I love what I do. I love this industry. But I also know that if we don't start speaking the truth, we're never gonna change, man.
Right.
There's some hard truths. Now, you have not taken any automotive curriculum, correct, Mikey?
Yep, that's correct.
All right. So, you being somebody who has been around cars but never had any formal education or training, what were your expectations of vision and what were your realizations of vision? Like, what did you like about it, dislike? Like, what was your whole experience?
Okay. So overall, when you had mentioned vision to me, I was very interested in the way that you explained it. I started doing some research. I seen that they had like expos, places that you could go, also network with people and, attend classes. So you helped me pick my classes and I read the titles and I was interested. A lot of them were very introductory and, I thought that they would I do think that they served a good purpose. Some classes were better than the others. Some instructors explained a little more in depth. Some instructors, it felt like they were just rushing. But overall, I think it was a very good decision because even then, I did learn a lot of things. I learned how different people diagnose different problems. I learned how people just go about their like getting a car in and getting a car out, from they try to explain it as much as they could from start to finish. um I was really happy that I got to go and meet so many people. A big shout out to Train by Text. They did an awesome job, supporting me and welcoming me. I also met a lot of nice people. I met somebody at the university that I want to attend the bachelor's at, and it was just a great opportunity to meet a lot of people. You know, so something that I wish could have been changed, knowing that Vision is the biggest, if not one of the biggest, training expos in the country. I wish they could have been a little more organized.
Okay.
I feel like the classes were very like off-putting. Some were 10, 15 minutes away, and
Mm.
it was just all over the place. Honestly, it could have been a lot more organized. Um, I also, I enjoyed a lot of the classes. I like that they gave us books too. They provided us with books, and I've been reading over them, going over them, and
What were some of the classes you took?
I have it right here actually. So the classes that I took, my first class was misfire detection and diagnosis. That was Thursday. Then I took service advisor, success blueprint, mastering.
No, that was
Oh no,
the
no,
other
yeah, you're right.
class.
Hmm.
I put him in the CTI misfire detection class. Um, and then we had PJ's Toyota hybrid class.
Oh, nice.
So you're
And
right.
then after that, we had Adam Robertson's Pico
Pico, yeah,
Pico analysis or advanced Pico something class. Uh,
functionalities.
yeah. Um. Then after
How
that, we
many
had
chicken nuggets did you throw at PJ?
man. I punked out, man, because everybody kept telling me that I'm not professional enough or whatever. So I just handed them to him. But I was literally my objective was to throw him at him every time he said Toyota.
Yeah, I
And
was
then he said then he said he got. He said his daughter stole him. So after that one, Saturday morning we had um PJ's World Pack, though not his class, the World Pack's electrical class. Um, then Shotton's advanced fuel trim class. And Sunday we were supposed to be in Brandon's class, but I'll be honest with you, man, I was over it, dude. I was done. I just ended up leaving. I was just exhausted.
That's what I did the last couple times. Is
Yeah, dude.
I headed back on Saturday night. Actually, it's just like I want to get home and just
And
relax on Sunday.
I want to touch on something, man, and it's a hard conversation to have, but it just it has to happen, man. Vision, and it's what's up to debate about vision or events like it is our perception of them, right? When I first went there, I was blown away. 18 was a good year, 19 was solid, but then I felt like the content was steadily on a decline. And I won't get too far into the rabbit hole because for some reason you can't speak the truth about vision. But we're not gonna fix it unless we face the reality. Um, One of the things that I always did enjoy about Vision is how organized it was. Everything just flowed well, and now it's I don't know. I don't know if it's gotten too big for its britches or
Mm.
what, but dude, um, we
Did they have a
had
lot of
to.
stuff off site?
Yeah, man. I mean, dude, we spent 2 days off site. Like
Oh,
literally,
okay.
Thursday, Friday, we were at a DoubleTree, which was enclosed. It was a 10-minute drive
Hmm.
and 10 minutes and no traffic. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much 10 miles, 8 miles, 8, 10 miles. So the facilities they were okay, not the greatest. It was just, man, like the hands-on classes supposedly were just nuts, man. Like they were just overflowed with people because they either oversold or people just, they went class shopping, like some people do.
Sure.
Um, my biggest issue was just like the lack of I don't want to say lack of thought because I don't want to be insulting either, but the truth of the matter is there was a lot of stuff that I particularly found offensive. A couple of things that were outright bogus were the instructors did not get fed.
Hey, have you ever been faced with the challenge of sourcing, installing, and programming a used control module in a vehicle? I know a lot of us have. It seems to be happening more and more often today with the volume of control modules on vehicles, the cost of some new ones, or even the availability of new control modules. In some cases, used may be the only option. So what do you do here? I strongly recommend checking out SJ Auto Solutions and Tomi Oliva. Tomi offers a cloning service for used control modules to make these things plug and play for the vehicle that you're working on. In a lot of cases, he is also able to source the control modules if you're unable to locate one for the vehicle that you're working on. But once you get connected with Tomi, he's going to offer fantastic support from start to finish to make sure that that control module is going to work in your application. He's also got tech support that he offers through his website, along with some free resources there as well on information about used control module programming. So make sure to check out SJ Auto Solutions. I can't recommend that enough.
Get fed.
Hmm.
I had one instructor, again, I'm not going to mention names, but one of the instructors was telling me, like, listen, I didn't rent the car. Like, and I came here on the shuttle. So how am I supposed to get food? If you're off site? You only have 1 hour.
Right. Yeah.
So how are you supposed to get food? How are you supposed to get fed? They told him basically he had to wait until somebody didn't eat so he can have their food.
That's ridiculous.
You do know if you wouldn't have, fine, like you turn this into a it's a business, right? Fine. Okay,
Yeah.
whatever. But if instructors don't show up to teach, people aren't going to show up and pay to learn.
Yeah.
And I've never been to an event. I've taught at events, and I've never not been fed. And if that
Yeah.
was an expectation, then you should have said it so people can prepare. That's not fair.
Yeah, that seems crazy. Like,
And they were all over the place. There was classes at a community college and another site called Umbrella Training or something like that. They were at another hotel as well. I think there were like 4 or 5 locations this time.
do you think it's something where it's just continued to grow and like a lot of things, it gets to a point where it's too big to manage efficiently?
I don't know, man. I generally don't know because again, they've always been on point. Vision. So it's not their first time at the rodeo. Like there was another event that I went to that was an entire clusterfuck, and it was its first time. So it's a little bit more understandable. But they've been doing this show for 20 years or something like that.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
been around for
granted,
a long
like I said,
time.
it's getting bigger, but yeah, I don't know, man. I'm a little um a lot of and also it's a little worrisome that a lot of our usual heavy hitters weren't there. So there's a shift in training right now, and I just don't I don't know I don't know how it's going to end up, and I might get some flack for the comments, but again, we can't resolve these issues if we don't speak about them.
Well, if I was organizing an event, like if I was in charge of it, and I can say that I've never done it at that scale or anything even close, but I would definitely want to know that type of thing, like because you can pretend to be nice about it, but then people aren't going to come the next year. It's not going to continue to grow. So yeah, stuff like that, as long as it's constructive and honest, like you would think that someone organizing it would want that feedback.
And a lot of the classes too, there was a class who was supposed to be an 8-hour class, and they split it up into fours. So the instructor still taught his class, right? So if you were sitting in his second class, you didn't really get the information from the first one, and vice versa. There was another class.
How did the people registered for an 8-hour class, or
It was split off as two 4-hour classes, but it was supposed to be a 8-hour class.
Oh, the content was the same
Correct.
one, so you could show up for the second one and be like, "Well, what's going on?" Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
There was another class that was scaled down from an 8-hour class to a 4-hour class, and because they put it on a Saturday, it became a 2.5-hour class.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that disorganization, or I don't know. I don't know. I don't have an answer, but I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced not some disorganization at events. Not vision in particular, but man, yeah, when you are instructing and like the size of the room is like way incorrect for the amount of people that signed up or show up for your class, you're like, what are you gonna do? And luckily, I had people that were thinking on their feet and made stuff happen. But yeah, I can't imagine it's easy to put together something like that. I don't even know what would go into it.
Oh,
but
like I said, man, it's a lot of work, but there's still just no excuse, man. We're still paying.
yes, yeah, right. I paid for my guy to go down there, and like, it's a lot of money.
And it's just not your entrance fee, man. It's his
Lost
wages, his travel,
yeah,
loss of productivity.
yep.
Jesus Christ, like it's a lot of money.
Yep, that's something as a business owner that I've been thinking about a lot about as we're signing up for training and like sending people things. Is like, okay, it's if we add everything up, to do this, like I'm paying you to go there, I'm paying for the registration, paying for the stay, paying for the flight.
It's like $5,000 per person.
Yeah, and okay, so am I going to get that return on investment for it?
No.
How long? How do I measure that?
The return of investment is pretty much morale.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly. And or imagine that after all that money you spent, the loss of productivity, they come back and say, "Oh, everything sucked. I hated it." That's a That's a kick in the nuts right there, right?
Right.
So, I love seeing the guys. I love seeing everybody. It's always a good time. Making fun of white people. Just kidding. Making fun of people who just happen to be white.
But there happens to be a lot of those in Kansas City.
You ain't lying. But no, it was good. Again, I wasn't looking forward too much because of the sheer amount of work that I have going on, but I'm glad I went. It does remind me of what I enjoy about these events, but it's just the sad reality is I think training needs to go in a new direction, man, or it risks getting stale.
What direction is that?
For me, I think it's going back to its roots, man. Fisher had posted something a few right before Vision about grassroots training and training at shops, and I think that needs to make a comeback, man. I'm not saying to get rid of like events like that, but it's just there's just no easy answers, man. But what's going on right now? It may be good for right now, but long term, I don't see any growth in new trainers. I don't see um just think about it, guys like John Thornton, Xanders, Shot and Mana, they they kind of rose through the ranks by doing
Mm-hmm.
like training, like small time training. And I think for a shop, right, I would much rather pay Steckler or John Thornton to come to my class and teach for a day. I think the ROI in that is a lot more than going to a training event. And here's the other problem that we forget. What usually happens by the time you're day 2 or day 3? You went out last night, you went out hanging out, you went to Top Golf, blah blah blah. So you're dying
Yeah.
in that room. You're not
Yeah.
learning jack.
Yep.
And that's not the conference fault, right? But
No.
that's just the sad reality of it. There was a few years ago there was a big group from a company I won't name either. 60-70% of them didn't even go to class.
Yikes.
They just took it as an excuse to go fuck off and drink,
Oh.
hang out at the bar. Owner was so pissed that he never took them again. He
Wow.
flat out refused.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be very upset if that was what the employees chose to do at that time. Yeah, like back to what you said, like I was just thinking about, okay, so I paid $5,000 for somebody to go to Vision. What if I could pay $5,000 and have Thornton come to the shop for a day for everybody? I was like, I'd probably do that. If it was
Telling you,
between
man,
those two.
it's even if it's 10. Think about a
Yeah.
shop that has like 10 guys. How
Yeah.
much money it would be to train them?
Right. Right.
That's a lot of money. Just
Mm-hmm.
imagine 10 dudes at Vision. That's $7,000 just in signups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Oh,
if you got a huge shop, yeah, those numbers just go
yeah.
go
So
up. So
it's a good conversation to have that needs to be had, especially if you're really trying to improve this industry that we so much love.
mm-hmm.
But guys like Mikey really give me hope in terms of that there is a future for it. Let's just hope that we do our part to ensure that they have a chance to do the same, develop a network, and be able to go to training, quality training.
Yeah, Mikey, what do you see your future look like in this industry? And obviously you can't predict, but I remember like I had an idea when I was young and just getting started, like, oh, okay, I want to do this, or hopefully I'm doing this by X. Like, what are your thoughts in regards for the next like 10 or 20 years in the field?
Yeah, so for my next, 10 years and anywhere from now to then, I plan on growing my knowledge. I want to, get hands-on in-field experience as well as, quality education, like Tommy was saying, going to school, maybe going to expos and stuff or training events, stuff like that. But in 10 years, I definitely want to see myself, working to be the best technician that I can be and, just taking big steps that'll take me there. I also have a dream of opening up a shop and, being able to, work on my cars and not have to outsource to anybody, just kind of handle my own in a way. That's something that's one of my main goals because I know it's something that not a lot of people can do, including my dad, which is kind of a little personal to me. So, that's something that I feel really impacted by, and I want to be, you know, at that point.
You want to be that one-stop shop where you're servicing the whole vehicle? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, kind of like just being able to do everything, diagnose it, program anything, well, anything that's, I can, and just, get the car in and out to the best of my abilities.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's going to be a tall order going forward. just because of the different layers of complexity on vehicles.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could be totally wrong, but I see it going to specialties where people who dial in on a particular area of the vehicle and get really good at that one thing, or maybe one car line or whatever, will be successful. Because I mean, the challenge that a lot of us face is trying to get it all figured out, right?
Mm,
Even just with doing what we do, specializing, like trying to figure out all makes and models is a never ending process.
yeah.
And the further and further I go, the like, okay, I want to dial it into specific things even more and more and just get really good at those things. And
Mm.
obviously there has to be work there, but man, if you can find that niche and be like really good or the best, like you can do really well for yourself. So, um, but yeah,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, like you said, I know this, it's almost impossible to, be able to know everything and do everything. But
yeah,
yeah, I definitely, want to be skilled. And I also want to, I like the how Tommy has his little group set up. He has a lot of guys that he calls to, to pick his brain, or people that call him, so that, they just talk it out. Oh, and, just in general, just help each other out. That's also really nice and something I do want to have.
yep. Yeah, pretty tough to do this without some sort of network. So that's one thing going to something like Vision for is fantastic, is like you said, getting to meet a bunch of these people in the industry and make some connections. Like that's invaluable.
Yeah, no, I mean, you don't have to hear it from me, man, but yeah, networking changed my career, so I don't want it to die, which is why I like the training events. But yeah, something has to give. But like for you, Mikey, what after college? So there's gonna be a little sweet spot, man. What do you think you're gonna do?
So after I get my associates, I kind of want to get a general overview and kind of see and hear about other people's experiences, going into the field that I want to go into. So, I definitely want to reach out to some people, see where people are at that have taken the steps that I want to take, and seeing what would be better for me. So I definitely plan to, keep apprenticing with you, um, for, as long as, well, not as long as I can, but like for some time. And
Till Tommy kicks you out.
yeah, basically.
All right, croak, whatever comes first.
Hopefully neither.
Yeah, no, so it's like I said, man, it's a good industry. Um, it has its perks, but I still I still feel like there's just other things that you can be doing. But knowing that we got guys like you that still want to do this, man, I don't know, kind of gives me some hope. Sean, do you still talk to some of your students?
I do. Yeah, I actually saw one of them today. Um,
Nice.
you know, I don't keep in touch with all of them, but if I were to guess, I'd say maybe a half of, like 50% of the actual graduating students from the program are still in the field now, which I haven't been teaching for 3 years, but a lot of them, will do it for a few years and then they bounce to something else or go
Yeah.
back to school or whatever. There's and that, I guess that, I don't know, it's probably pretty normal. It was normal when I was in school. Like I know my graduating class, only like two or three guys are still in the field from that. But yeah, for the ones that stuck with it and actually really enjoyed it, I think that was the key. Like they actually still have a passion for what they're doing. They're doing pretty well. Um, but it is cool to see them, continue to grow in the field and as technicians. There's two or three of them work at the local Benz dealer, and they're doing really well and really
Nice.
like that. They have a good setup there, so I enjoy going over there.
Yeah, no, I at least for me, I remember very clearly one of my instructors at UTI. He was like, "All right, there's most of us, especially like this class was actually our hot rod class, and we were broken up into groups of four. And he came around and he was talking to us, and we were all sitting down in our little table, and he's like, "All right." He told my other buddy, he's like, "Stand up." He stands up. He's like, "All right, probably only you are gonna stay in this industry." I don't know what the fuck's that supposed to mean. He's like, "Yeah, we were out of one out of four actually turns this into a career. Most of you guys are gonna realize it's not for you or find something more profitable." And he wasn't wrong. My In my class, I lost contact with one of them, so I can't say if he's working in the industry or not. But as of when we last spoke, he was actually looking to become a realtor. So my other buddy, he actually became a union pipe fitter,
Okay.
and we reconnected recently, and he was just telling me, "Yeah, man," he's like, I just couldn't find a good paying job." He was like, "I was working at the dealer for $13 an hour doing warranty work, and then I got a job at one of those chain repair places making $27 an hour, but there was no work, and it was flat rate." So
Mm-hmm.
he's like, I made more money working at a cement factory, and that's how I got the idea to become a pipe fitter. So, and then the other gentleman, I think he's in the industry, but I think he's like in management. Like I think he manages one of those chain stores.
Okay.
So, 2 out of 4 ain't too bad. But yeah, it is true though, man. Majority of us, and then we had a couple of good instructors too that would be like, "You guys need to start working in the industry." Because a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
students from UTI, they were the UPS had a big warehouse not too far from us, so a lot of the students worked there because they were paying 10.50 an hour. Most of the
Okay.
shops or Jiffy Lubes or the quick lube places that students would get work at, they were only paying like $8 an hour. And UPS was giving you $1,000 per semester.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So he's like, "Man, you guys are wasting your time. And what if you don't even like this industry? What if you don't even like working on cars? What if you don't like being in shops?"
Mm-hmm.
And my time at UTI was interesting because there was a shift in culture. A lot of they were trying to kind of get rid of a lot of the old hard nosed, you know, what do you kids call them? Boomers? They're not boomers, but they're like Gen Xers and guys like Falco. And and they were like, because they were just kind of how we grew up, man. They were just mean as shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
no
Yeah.
apologies, no nothing, and they
Yeah.
wanted,
Throwing wrenches and
yep, just like that. And I remember one guy got canned during class because of a student, because he kept like, the student kept complaining they keep swearing too much. So the instructor kind of figured out who it was. So he kept riding him now. So then he made it worse, and then I don't know what happened, and then they fired him. They gave him a couple warnings, and then they just canned the dude in the middle of our phase, because our groups of classes were called phases. And he came into the class, and he was just like, "Man, I'm gonna say like the toned down version. You little blah blah blah. If you don't even like me blah 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 swearing, then grow a pair of blah blah blah, and then blah 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 blah." Like he just went in on him. "You're in the wrong industry if you can't take a joke, or you can't have somebody swearing at you. You mama's like, oh, bro, like it was, and me being me, I was just like, damn." I was just being an instigator, but to a point, right? Like not saying that it's good or bad, right? But it was just at the time, like most of the shops were like that, man. Like they were run
Yep.
by dirtbags, like
Mm-hmm.
no professionalism, like just practical jokes and people joking all the time.
Yep, I've experienced the same thing. Early in the industry, is like that was that's the culture, and pretty much all the shops that I was in, and I'm like, oh, this is just how the industry is, and eventually got with some much better technicians. I remember one of the first shops I worked at, like a really smart technician kind of took me under his wing and helped me out a lot. And I was like, okay, well, there are some, people that I'd actually aspire to be like, out there, but yeah, tough to find. And hopefully nowadays you can find more. I don't know. It's very different. I mean, I'm in shops every day and a wide variety of them, and you still see that a little bit, but I'd say it's less common. Like, you just don't see the guy screaming and throwing wrenches quite as often as you used to.
No, not at all. But one of the things that does worry me about the industry is, and maybe you haven't noticed, in your area, but at least for me, all the shops have two things in common. The older technicians are old. Like some of the, I'm sorry, hold on. Some of the better technicians are old. Like old. Like I'm talking about, like they're close to retirement old.
Yep.
And most of the majority of the new coming technicians are either immigrants or children of immigrants. So next time you go to your shop, and I guess it might be more prevalent me because I'm in Chicago, but
Definitely
next time you go to your
depends
shops, take a like a real good look around and see who's working on these cars, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
If I'm down in the cities, I could say that's fairly accurate depending on the location. The farther away from the city I get, it's definitely
More
different.
Mom and pop.
Yeah, right. And you got farm boys working in there and stuff like that. So geographically, it definitely changes things. But I can see what you're saying. In the cities, and even in the shops out here in the sticks, and guys that run stuff out of their pole barns and stuff. Yeah, they're all 50s and 60s,
Yep.
like as old as Fonslow working on these cars, and so, what happens to all those guys leave? I remember the guy I was talking about at the shop who took me under his wing. I'll never forget this because he left to be an electrician, and the shop manager that worked there at the time was like, I've worked for this guy for like 15 years. He's so goddamn smart and knows so much about this industry. And he's like, that dude's just leaving, and all of his knowledge is just going to go because he's going to go be an electrician because it was a way better deal than what he was doing as a mechanic. And yeah, that's true for a lot of guys at that retirement age now.
I mean, think about it, dude. We still don't get. I mean, say what you want about flat rate, whether you agree with it or not. I know a bunch of guys who love flat rate. I know a bunch of guys who don't. Right, but I still think that we are the only industry that still doesn't get paid for every hour we work. We are the only ones that have to have an obscene amount of money in personal tools.
Mm-hmm.
We are the only trade that, for the most part, don't have a pension, or a good pension. And yeah, man, and it's people don't really realize how critical we are. I think about it, like not even just you getting to work, but like even the trades, right? How do they get to their jobs?
Right.
How do they work on the scaffolds, all the equipment, heavy equipment, cranes, the trucks to move the material. Like, dude, like the world revolves around us, and we just still get treated like that redheaded stepkid, man. Like it's pretty sad, and I'm hoping that we do enough so that future generations can still enjoy this raggedy ass industry. But it's gonna be a tough one for sure. But conversations are being had, and I have faith that it'll be moved in the right direction as long as we start getting the right mentality, the shift in mentality, and also the shift in the general motoring public's mentality. That's going to be very, very critical. Stop buying cars you can't afford to fix.
What it means to tackle a network problem on a 25 Cadillac Escalade. Like, the average person doesn't even comprehend what that's going to be like for Mikey in 10 years after it's
Dude,
a flood car and it comes into your shop.
People that just, you can't take a quick look at my car. No, like, what is it doing? Oh, it's killing the battery every 3 days. I'm like,
Yeah.
hell no. Like, yeah, no, the general motoring public still has no idea. I had a guy arguing with me about a Ford Edge. I popped into the shop to do programming, and he was asking me some questions about a Ford Edge, and it has fuel pump pressure codes. Like, I forgot what it was, but dude, it's they called me thinking that the key wasn't programmed or something because it was cranking and it's not starting. I'm like, dude, Fords don't crank. So no. He's like, oh, but stuff is flashing. I'm like, dude, they don't crank. I go, what codes do you have? Oh, fuel pressure. I'm like, dude, the car's starting to backfire. I'm like, dude. He's like, this pump's bad. He's like, yeah, but I'm like, he's like, but it's controlled by the computer, isn't it? I'm like, well, yes and no. He's like, but it has to be electrical. I'm like, dude, what runs this damn pump? The high pressure fuel pump. He's like, the computer. I'm like, okay, but how does it spray? Like, dude, it's still a mechanical pump, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you worked on diesels, haven't you? Yeah, it was the same shit. Like, why are you arguing with me about this, dude? It's out of time, man. It sounds like crap. It's backfiring, and you have high pressure fuel codes. Like, it's the fuck out of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and he started going like, hey, dude, like, I don't know what to fucking tell you, man. You want me to diagnose it? Ship it to my shop, man. I'm not doing it here. You call me because you said fucking the key wasn't programmed, and it's obviously it is. So just the general perception of even people were, and then think about it. This car was already, what was it, 2012? It's 13 years old, man.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
You can't tell me that you don't know how to basic, GDI works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. We Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah. I had an 04 today with a network problem, and that like we can't do anything. Let's just chuck parts at it, That's a 20-year-old vehicle, and that's
For what?
it was a Pontiac GTO.
You definitely can't do much jack with that one. You can't even get parts for it.
They found a PCM to chuck at it, so.
Oh, what's a GM PCM? I mean,
yeah,
it's like one of those PO6s or something like that. I forgot the number, but yeah, the PCMs are easy to find.
Yeah, the both networks were down, but it was the ground pin on the powertrain interface module. The terminal was spread open, and
Nice.
So it was pulling the reference for both the networks up. But like that, it's a different car, I guess. If you're used to GM stuff, it's a little different. But
Yeah,
it's not that crazy of a diagnosis to make. And that's the thing, is like, it's a regular thing now in not just me, not just around here, but like you guys in cities all over the country, that like shops are calling other people to figure out the cars and fix the cars, right? And however you want to look at it, the complexity of cars, the skill level in the industry, probably a little bit of both. That just wasn't a thing when I started. I know that.
for sure.
What's it going to look like in, 10, 15 years? How is that going to progress or change?
Man. Like think about how AI can change a
Yeah.
vehicle, right? Like,
oh, it's going to be wild.
you're gonna talk to them like, yo, what's wrong with you, man? Oh man, the EGR is reporting 5 volts. I think you should check, powers and grounds at this sensor.
Yeah.
Yo,
Last night, the telematics module woke up for 2 minutes, and I have the scope capture right here. So put that module in.
Nice.
Yeah.
So let's hope, man. I mean, like I said, things can be bright or bad depending on how your point of view is, man. But I'm hopeful.
Yeah. What do you think of all that, Mikey? I mean, there's definitely some doom and gloom that swirls around the auto industry. What's your perspective on that part of it?
Yeah, so that last point was really interesting, and it caught my attention. Um, yeah, I mean, cars are changing. I mean, as we speak, and that's just something I want to stay up to date with. You know, Obviously, there's a lot of technicians, like you guys said, that don't even understand older cars. And yeah, I just my goal is to stay up to date as much as I can in any way possible. I do think there needs to be a lot of other people in the industry, and I get it. I have friends that, I have a friend that's going to Lincoln Tech, and he's already signed and everything. He's locked in. He said, I'm gonna get my certificate, and I'm gonna go straight into electrician. And it's just something that was done, and it's poor choices, just not investigating, and maybe not liking the industry. He had a lot of applications done. He worked at AutoZone for a little bit, but he just, the industry just kind of rejected him.
Hmm.
Wait, but Nika Tech has electrician courses, or that's that home like alarm install course?
No, he's doing automotive.
Oh, I thought you said electrician.
Oh yeah, he's swapping over. He's going for his automotive certificate, but
Nice.
yeah, he's swapping over to an electrician. Like, he's gonna do it with his uncle just because, of ways that he couldn't find an apprenticeship, or
Oh, I see what you're saying.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Sorry,
Okay.
sorry if I was a little
No,
confused.
no, you're good.
I'm
No,
too.
you're good. Yeah, no. Yeah, man. I mean, it's just it's a hard industry to get into, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely not rewarding when you
Yeah.
first start this industry, man. It sucks, dude.
Yeah, it is. It is really tough to start, and yeah, like you mentioned, the flat rate thing is even worse if you're starting out and you're on flat rate, and that just kicks so many people
I'll never
right in the
forget the
teeth.
first junk that they gave me, man. That 2005 brand new Pathfinder for a heater box, my first car
Ugh.
at the dealer. Like, really, guys? Really? While the old geezers are doing the gravy work, they got me
Mm-hmm.
pulling a heater box.
Yep.
Right? It truly does test you, but there will be some good things in it for you, Mikey. Just keep your head up, work hard, listen. Don't be like me.
Yeah, there's plenty of opportunity, plenty of broken cars, so there'd be no shortage of work if you want it. That's for sure. It's just,
Especially now, man, with all these newer vehicles having so many engine issues. Who knows how they're gonna be like in the
yeah.
next 5 years?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter, man. Honda, Toyota, they're getting nailed right now. Honda's
People.
Honda's about to start a class action lawsuit, or they're about to start a class action lawsuit against Honda. The NHTCA is already about to sue them too for the issue with the Earth Dream engine, I think it's called. And then there's
Okay.
the Tundras,
Yeah,
half a
I heard
million
about
Tundras.
that. Um, I people ask me, like, outside of the automotive world, people ask me, like, oh, what kind of car should I buy if I want a new car? I'm like, I don't know.
Buy
Don't
extended
buy
warranty.
one. Yeah, yeah,
Go to the
right.
go to the deep south and find a 2000 Toyota Camry.
Yep. That's what I tell them. I'm like, buy something old that's taken
Yeah.
care of.
Now we'll say this, like like the automotive industry goes through phases, right? Like, I think the 2000s had probably some of the better vehicles, right? Like, in terms of everything, right? Ease of repair,
Yep.
parts cost associated with the repair,
Hmm.
and durability. Now, the recession cars were junk. Like, the majority of the
Hmm.
cars in the recession were just absolute trash. And even like
Yep.
Toyotas and Hondas, that's when they had their oil consumption issues.
Yep.
Then I think like after 14, between 14 to 1920, I think that was a good year. Like, those were good years for vehicles. And then after COVID, it just went straight to the shitter.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, all the engine problems, like you mentioned, when I was a tech working in the shop, like running into a mechanical engine problem was like the last thing you'd think of most
Mm-hmm.
of the time. Like, it was usually, some sort of fluid leak, or, a misfire that was ignition or fuel related.
Yeah,
And
man.
like every once in a while, oh, I got a broken valve spring. I remember the first broken valve spring I got on like a Dodge Caravan. It took me forever because like it wasn't even in my mind that that sort of stuff would happen, or like a worn down camshaft. I don't think I ever saw that it when I was wrenching on cars, but now it's like every day you've got some engine with a worn out.
It's funny, right? Because realistically speaking, now the problem I run into a lot of shops is that they forgot mechanical. They focus so much about with electrical concerns, drivability concerns, that it's always like, oh, it's this, oh, it's that, oh, it has to be the computer, or it has to be this, and I'm like, not, dude, like, you know how many computers people try to send me because they have misfires, and I tell them, if you clear the code, and that driver works for like 3 or 4 seconds, it's not your computer, homie.
Just had one yesterday on a Jeep.
You have a misfire being caused by a potentially mechanical issue.
I know every shop that calls.
Bro, I know a shop that put a $3,000 DME in what's it called, one of those F chassis, the 750, like the 750, I think it was one of those.
Okay.
Bro, that thing it basically needed a motor, man. A $3,000 DME, bro, and it needed an engine. You imagine telling that to the customer?
These newer Jeep 3.6s with the valve lift, like every single time we get called, they're saying, "Oh, I think it needs a computer because it's shutting down the injectors." Yeah.
No. They Chrysler took that Pentastar design and you would thought they would make it better. They made it worse.
Yeah. How could we make this worse? I don't think you can. Oh, just hold my beer.
Yeah. That's Chrysler for you.
Yep.
It is true. Anything Chrysler that doesn't end in a 7 is a total pile of junk. Oh no, that ends in a 7. No, that's 3.6. No, that's what it was, right? Because some of the older engines, like those Intrepid engines,
the 2.7s, yeah, those are junk.
Yeah, the 2.7s were junk. The 3.7 and the 4.7, and there you go. Anything that ends in a 7 is junk, but I forgot that the 3.6 is a newer generation of garbage.
Yeah, that's junk. Yeah. Boy, I'm trying to think of the last like really solid Chrysler engine that I can think of.
I think it was that 4-liter, dude. The 4-liter and the 3.8. Okay. That family of engines.
Yeah, the 3.8, the 3.3. I mean, they had some issues, but compared to what they have now, they were actually pretty decent.
They were actually not bad. They had valve train issues for sure. Like they had springs and stuff. I'd seen a few of them, but the reality was they were pretty solid. Ford, all those old Taurus engines were, man. Those boat anchors never died, man.
Yep, I had a buddy with a Taurus, man. It was so old and rotted, and the unibody just gave out from rust, and that engine was still like, let's go.
Yeah, dude, those old cast iron blocks, dude, those engines were just solid, man. And they were peppy. They moved. They weren't super efficient, but they got the job done. But yeah, now too many moving parts now, man. And I don't know if you agree with this, but the removal of zinc, I think, hurt engines.
You talking about the oil?
For the oil?
Yeah. Well, that and my thing for a long time has been the intervals between oil changes.
Oh, dude, it's horrible. It's horrible. Yeah. I don't understand it, man. Like $10. Like they were my wife's Audi. It's 2016. And they told her it was going to be every 10K. I was like, yeah, my ass. You can change it every 10K. I'm changing it every 5. So for the first 4 years that she had that maintenance package, I was changing the oil myself. 3, 4, 5,000 miles.
Yep. That's what we do on our vans is every 3. And like zero issues. But
yeah, oil's cheap, man. Like my SUV too, man. When I got it with low miles, and I changed the oil religiously, dude. 3,000-4,000 miles, if that. Sometimes less, or usually when the indicator says like 60%, then I'll change the oil. I don't care. Oil's cheap.
Yep. Yeah, I've had a couple of GMs. The oil maintenance thing, 7,500 miles if you go the whole way. Like, no.
Yeah, like those. I knew a guy who had a 3.6 liter, one of the mid 2010s. The ones that obviously have the chain issues, the chain stretch issues. Dude, he has 280K on his original chains. You know why? Because he changes his oil 3 months on the dot. Doesn't matter if he drives it or not, but every 3 months, full synthetic oil change, and he has not had one issue.
Yeah, it's probably true for a lot of engines.
I've read an article, man. I don't know if I told you about this. the Kia, the 2 liters. Some
The
engineer in California, just for out of curiosity, because his engine blew up, he started doing oil samples.
okay.
And because you remember, like when they first started having problems, that Kia was saying that it was just it was a casting issue. I love it when they
Was
say that the Kia, the 2 liters, like the little.
was this a rod knock one or
Yeah, remember like
okay?
the rods would seize and they were like, oh, there was just a casting or issues, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Well, it's been what, how long now, and they're still having issues. So this gentleman decided to do like a controlled oil sample test, and he just pulled the oil at different intervals. Guess what they found?
I'm
Fuel.
sure. Oh, they found fuel. Okay.
So the rings weren't designed to. So at the level of atomization, right, when the injector sprays in there,
Mhm.
there's too much wash. Like
Okay.
the injector sprays so much that the rings and the pistons, they'll have some leakage.
Sure.
Even though it might be minute, but think about it. How many times per, how many revolutions per minute does this injector inject at high pressure at what, $3, 2,500 psi?
Mm-hmm.
So you keep accumulating oil, it's gonna start contaminating your engine, and they want to do what, 5,000, 7,500 mile oil changes.
Right. Yeah. That stuff's like water by that point.
The firm that he hired to do the oil samples told him that if he wants his engine to last, he needs to change his oil every 2,500 miles. After 2,500 miles, the oil is fully contaminated with what's it called? That's not hydrocarbons, but I forget what fuel is called before it's burned. Is it hydrocarbons?
Yeah, it's hydrocarbons.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I forgot. So can you imagine that? You're supposed to change
That's crazy.
this junk's oil every two months, basically.
Yep. That's just it. A lot of junk out there.
A lot of junk. Be careful. Buy extended warranty. Buy whatever the hell you want. Stop asking me. You got anything you want to add, Mikey, before we sign off?
For the most part, I think I covered the majority. Yeah, I look forward to the industry. Hopefully, there is a little spark. Something that we could keep the ball rolling with. Kind of be a better industry, and yeah, I enjoyed Vision. Could have been a little better, but yeah, big shout out.
What's the next type of training, or what kind of training, either event or class, are you looking forward to, or would you want to go to next? Like a subject matter or a specific destination? What do you think?
Tommy has mentioned a couple training expos, and I think I would really like to go to them, as well. I got, my classes and my automotive classes in the summer, which is basically automotive 1110 and 1130. I'm not too
He's starting off with basic electrical and engine mechanical.
yeah.
Okay.
Basic electrical and yeah, but
Those are gonna be fun.
yeah.
There you go. Change your oil. No, I liked the mechanical class. I taught that one at Century, and we got to do the whole engine build, like from top to bottom, and actually run them on the stands after you take them apart and rebuild them. And that's a really fun class.
350s?
No, they were old 2.2s, like out of S10 or Cavalier. Yeah.
The old Iron Duke?
No, the one after the Iron Duke.
That one. But it was still like
it was an in-block cam, but it had a aluminum head on it. The push rods and stuff. So
one.
yep. But it was fun to strip them down, put them back together, and just run them off propane. It was a good time.
Nice. Yeah, UTI had 350s.
We were a little slightly less funded at the state college, but tuition was only like 10 grand. So that probably played a role.
Yeah, no shit, right?
Yeah. Well, cool, guys. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Mikey, and I'm sure we'll keep in touch.
Definitely, man.
Sounds good. Nice meeting you as well.
All right, that is going to do it for today's episode. Thank you for Mikey for spending the time with us today. Really appreciate it. Also like to thank all the listeners out there for listening to the show and all the feedback that we get on a regular basis. Always appreciate that. Always looking for input and suggestions about the shows. We'll definitely take them to heart and see what we can do to provide the best content for you. But with that out of the way, let's all get out there, start fixing the world one car at a time.